going on, everyone? Noah from Spanky the Sparky. I'll cut straight to the chase. I made a whole video, recorded it and everything. My hood was up with these glasses on, and it blocked my video. So got a little smarter, have my hood off this time. I have some of the work done, but this is going to be part one, the actual part one of my conduit bending series. We're going to start by mounting our panel. The very first thing we are going to want to do that, we're going to measure the panel tub. And that's going to give us the strut length we need to put behind both the top and bottom. We have 2 holes up top, 2 holes down bottom. That's where our strut will sit. That strut will mount to the wall. Our panel will mount to that strut. Pretty straightforward. First thing we're going to do to measure that, the width, we have about 20 inches. That's what I'm going to cut my strut down to. I've already done that. I have one of them mounted. As you can see, I had to cut it with a Sawzall, so it's a little uncentered. This one's a little smaller, but it'll work. I'm using what I have in my garage. It's about 20 inches. I'll live with that. But I have it mounted. Second piece I already have cut, partially installed. But after you get the size of the 2 pieces of strut that you want, which I said is 20 inches, we're going to want to measure from center of hole to center of hole. You can do that one of 2 ways. One, you can go like this, from try and hold it at the center, measure it to the other side center. That works. Since I'm by myself, what I would do, well, what I'm going to do is do this, put it at the top of the panel tub. We have 3 inches to the center of this hole. Come down, we have 3 inches to the center of that hole. The difference of that, very simple math, 45 inches there, and then we have 3 inches subtracted off there. 3, we're going to need 42 inches center to center for the strut. So as you can see, there's a lot going on over here. Like I said, this was all recorded, but unfortunately my hood blocked all of that. So in this instance, the very first thing we're going to do, we would take a stud finder. If you have one, I have this one by Racketeer Tools. Very cool little device. If not, you can kind of knock on a wall to figure out where a stud is, or a pilot bit will also work. But what I like to do, you can take this, you can run it around the wall, if you have one, of course. If not, that's also fine. But as you can see, I hit a stud right there. Standard spacing of studs center to center is going to be 16 inches, which is where that comes into play. As you can see, yeah, that's why I also had that mark there, previously done. And from there, you'd want to avoid those areas to drill your holes, hence why this is done like that. Hopefully that makes sense. Also, this is my own wall in my own garage. I have drawings on it for demonstration and whatnot. Don't do that on a job site. It could potentially get you fired. But pretty straightforward. Find your studs. Always when you're drilling these holes, do it with a pilot bit first to begin with, to ensure you're not hitting anything. Maybe there's metal backing, a stud, whatever the case may be. So, like I said, 16 inches center to center and studs. Avoid those at all costs. And what I would do, whether it's a laser, in this case I'm going to use a fixed point, which is going to be my wall. I would have measured over, and as you can see on the top and the bottom, I did 33 inches. Pretty straightforward. As we said, with that panel tub, it was 42 inches center to center on that. When you're putting these up there, you want to ensure that you'd have 42 inches from the center of one strut to the center of the other one. Pretty straightforward. So, with all that being said, that's when this would come into play. I already have one toggle bolt in there. Obviously, that one's already mounted in my level. But for those of you that do not know what a toggle bolt is, it's pretty straightforward. It's a bolt. You want to use a lock washer and a fender washer. These are bigger than they should be, but it's all I have at home. I use all my, I get my own personal stuff from the stores. All that stuff adds up. So I try to make do with what I have at home before I go out and purchase things. That's all simple as that. Lock washer on top, fender washer on bottom, hits the strut channel, and then you have your little wing right here. What I like to do is enclose it and then push it in just like so. As you can see, that kind of clips into place. And what I'll do, you can roast me for this, but when I started out non-union, I work in the union now, but when I started out non-union, I was making about $12 an hour. I had to provide my own power tools, hence why I have Ryobi. It was the cheapest I could get. But it works for what I'm doing here. But pretty straightforward. I pull out on this as I'm doing it, get one side nice and started, hop over to the other side, get it nice and started. And some of you don't like to use these, but a level. Bada bing, bada boom, just like so. And you tighten it up. All we're going to need for the actual panel tub, we're going to want bolts, whatever size you choose is kind of up to you. These are going to be 3/8 bolts. These are 1/2 inch hardware. This is too big technically, but I'm using what I got. I did find one in my little storage drawer of miscellaneous hardware. So ideally you're using all the same size hardware, or the hardware that's meant for that specific bolt or whatever you're using. In this case I have one of these. I'm going to exclude it just because I only have the one. But what will happen at this point, I also take all the springs off my spring nuts. Some people won't. I choose to. Personal preference, I guess. I think it makes it easier. But all that's going to happen at this point, you're going to have your, remember, I'm using the incorrect size hardware because that's all I have. But lock washer, fender washer, spring nut. Now what's important on these spring nuts, you can see there's channels. This is going to be the channel that's going to, after this is up here, going to lock into the back side of the strut channel. Don't do it like this. I mean, it would still work technically, but it's not going to give that official lock. Those 2 channels is what's going to lock that on. Keep that in mind. So I'll make all 4 of these up real fast, and then we'll actually get to mounting the panel tub. But like I said, bolt, lock washer, split washer, I guess you'd call it as well, fender washer. Different size fender washers, but once again, I'm using what I have at home. All these videos are funded out of pocket. All this small stuff really does add up. And in today's economy, you don't want to see me out on the corner stripping for a cheeseburger. At least I wouldn't want to see myself stripping for a cheeseburger. But yeah, I'm going to make the last one up, and we'll go to mounting the panel. Okay, so I saved 2 of them. I got the bottom 2 in. But like I said, we have our setups, our bolt setups. Like I said, bolt, lock washer, fender washer, spring nut. So the way this is going to work, you're going to take your spring nut off if you already have one. And just this way, you're going to have your bolt. Once again, lock washer, fender washer, you're going to slide it through your hole. On the back side, remember those 2 little channels I was talking about on the spring nut, or channel nut, some people call it both. That's going to be facing inwards towards the back of this panel tub. Once again, those 2 channel nuts, or 2 channels, are going to attach to the back of that strut. And that's what's going to lock it, or help lock it into place. Get those loosely started. Slide that through. Bada bing, bada boom. Get it loosely started. And at this point, we're good to bring this over. Some people have different ways of going about this. Some people, depending on how heavy the tub is, because some of these tubs get massive, very heavy, you can make, did everything from using just about anything you think of to set it up on. You can cut some bigger size conduit, use that as like footers to basically help you hold it up. This one's pretty light though, so I should be able to lift it up and get it on pretty easily. What I do like to do before mounting is if my spring nuts are turned up and down, I turn them sideways, so simply because when I lift it up, those are going to fit in, then I'll turn it. So I'll go through to all of them, ensure they're all sideways like such, which these ones are, it looks like. And at this point, this is when I'm going to lift it up and lock it into place, whether that's with a nut driver that's handheld, or in my case, the mighty Ryobi. Oh man, all right, well, shout out Ryobi for that. Or whether it's with the Ryobi. There we go. Once again, got this when I worked non-union, had to purchase my own power tools, didn't get paid a lot, so that's the backstory on that. At this point, you can lift it up. This one's fairly light. Oh man. Oh, maybe. Here we go. Get my hand in there a little bit. But once you get the top part at least semi-hooked in, up to the other side, as you can see, hopefully you can see, you can get these kind of flipped, pushed in. Hop over here, same thing, kind of pushed in. And hop down to the bottom at that point, and get these turned like so, and like so. Get this pushed over. We want it to all match. Like so, get that all flipped and turned. At that point, we have them turned, we'll get them started. So what we'll do, take the level, put it on top, and we'll just get one of these started at a time. So what we'll do, we'll start with this top left one, maybe. Apply a little pressure underneath to get it turned. I have it turned, I'll give it a little bam. Once again, just getting it started. Yeah, so push that over like so. Keep that going. Now, there's different ways you can do this. You can jump side to side. Normally that's what I do, but that's what I want to do. Just that. Usually it'd help if I had a longer extension, which I don't, but that's a little unlevel at the moment. I'll level that up. Push that like so. Get that turned. Sorry, I only have 3-minute capabilities to record with these glasses, which is a big downfall of them, but it is what it is. So we'll get that level and get this started. That's a little off, but we still gotta pull it a little bit this way. Loosen that a little bit. Grab this, turn it, keep that leveled up like so. It does help if you have the extension or a extension. Definitely does help. And obviously if you have another set of hands, that helps as well. Oh crap. There you go. take a step back, bada bing, bada boom. Our panel is mounted. It's level. If there does need to be any adjustments at this point, you could adjust it. You could loosen a little bit, adjust it, but there you go. The panel is mounted. At that point, we'd set strut up, do whatever we needed to do to get our conduits out, which will be in future videos. We'd also mark it out to get our holes drilled. But yeah, there you go. Panel mounted. At that point, as you can see, pretty durable. Take a peek back there. You can see how the channel, or the two notches, are sitting up on the strut. Bada bing, bada boom. And yeah, that is part one. Part two will be laying out, and then from there it'll be a free-for-all with conduit runs, setting up our strut racks, all that other good stuff. Once again, don't diss me on the Ryobi. I used it when I worked non-union many years ago. It did its purpose, just like it did in this video. Hopefully you found this video insightful, helpful. Shout out to Klein for the good levels. I'll also be using a Klein bender, and yeah, Milwaukee tools. But yeah, let me know what you think.